We've had no water on board Nereida for well over 2 months now, so I was really keen to get the new immersion heater element that I brought back from England with me in place. But I knew that it was going to be a difficult job, so of course I kept putting it off. But eventually I got to the cockpit locker. I had to empty out the cockpit locker, and it had in it full jerry cans of fuel, which I needed to pump out, which I did. And then, having got into the cockpit locker, I then had to remove the outboard portion of the locker, and that ended up, in fact, had ended up damaged after my trip down the coast recently, and so that is actually out for trying to get that mended. But eventually, I got down to the actual tank, which you can see here, well below the cockpit locker floor. And but on a sturdy enough stand that you can kneel on it. I had to kneel on it to take this black cap away from the end to expose the element and the wiring, to take off the wiring, take away the wiring, depower it. And then, of course, I had to lean over. You can see the white end of the element sticking out from the end of the cylindrical tank here. And I had to then lean over, having taken the wires away, removed those. Then I had to empty the tank, because obviously the element sticks into the middle of the water tank. So fortunately, a friend had come by earlier, and in fact, with the damaged cockpit locker wall, which he was trying to mend for me, and offered to help. So that was great. It meant that it took a lot less time to get the water out of the tank bit by bit, because I was able to stay where I was and just hand up the water to him to empty overboard, and then give me the empty container back again. So that was a really, really good. Thanks a lot for that, Carl. So having got down to what I thought was enough water out of the tank, I tried to take the element out, but then I was not quite right. I had to take a few more containers out. No big problem, a little bit of water. So then I had to get this big nut undone on the element. Unfortunately, these vice grips in my tool bag were opened the drawers wide enough that I could get a really good grip on the nut. I thought that a plumber's tool was going to be needed, but that was good enough. And to my surprise and happiness, I found that the thing moved fairly easily, which was good. So finally, I got the element undone. And here you can see the element. It's not at all dirty. I really thought it was going to be gunged up. And the fact that it was so clean made me wonder whether I was wasting my time, and maybe it was the wiring to the tank that was the problem and not the actual element itself. So that was a slight worry. But anyway, I persevered. I knew that if I put a new element in, definitely it would be okay. So here's the new element that I was putting in. Exactly the same fitting at the top, just a different colour. But notice it's got an anode, it's got a zinc that the other one didn't have. Why this one has and the other one didn't, I really don't know. Because I was told actually it was probably the zinc having dissolved away in 13 years that was the reason for my hot water disappearing. Anyway, here we got the... I put the thing back in. The element went in quite nice and easily, no problem with that at all. And then, of course, once I'd done that, I had to connect up the wires, which was a bit of a pain because I really couldn't see what I was doing. Black on with the black cap, and then up from the cockpit locker, down below, turn on the power, and wonder of wonders, we've got hot water on board Nereida at last. Thank God for that.